Good morning, everybody. Thank you if you guys are tuning into another video. As you can see, it's really early in the morning here. It's probably just before 8 a.m. Kids are off of school today. The twins aren't here. They actually come home today. But I'm here with Logan, and he's going to be helping me all day with this video that I'm about to shoot. Today's video is all about kind of how I got started in this creative videography, graphic designer world that I currently live in. I thought this video was very crucial because, you know, when I started doing this, it wasn't all too hard to kind of get into doing it. And that was about 10 years ago. And now it's super easy to get into doing this. And really, there's no excuse. You know, if you guys are interested in kind of being a filmmaker or a creative individual in general, then stay tuned for the rest of this video where I'm going to kind of give you my history and see if it maybe lines up to something that you're going through right now. We're going to get inside and sit down and kind of get a little bit of a history lesson on myself and what it takes to become a filmmaker and creative person today. Stay tuned. So welcome back. We're inside now. Got all set up. I'm using my wife's desk today, so nobody tell her. At the end of my last video, I mentioned that this video was going to be about kind of my history, about how I got started into being a creative, being a designer, being a videographer. You know, I still don't know what to call myself sometimes when people ask what I do, so I like to just throw around the word creative, creator, something like that. But yeah, in this video today, I wanted to go over the couple things that kind of got me into doing what I do now and really let you guys know how easy it is for you to do for yourself, because the barrier of entry these days in almost 2022 is next to nothing. So for starters, I did go to college for graphic design. So I do have a schooling factor behind some of the stuff that I do know. So going to school was a really great way for me to kind of fine-tune my skill at something. I've always been somewhat of a creative person. When I was a little kid, I was really into the art class at school. I did a lot of drawing up until about high school, when that kind of faded out a little bit, but I always did a lot of drawing as a kid. My parents always told me how good I was, and after thinking about it for, you know, a while after I got out of high school, it kind of seemed like a natural path for me to kind of go into was the graphic design realm. Now, in college, we learned everything from branding to how to use basic programs, but we were taught a lot about how to conceptualize and some do's and don'ts and rights and wrongs and why things look a certain way to us and the science behind things looking a certain way and why we're captivated and what we're drawn to and what we're not drawn to as people. And that part of it was really interesting for me. But it was probably when I took a Premiere Pro class in school when I kind of realized that I really enjoyed video editing. It was kind of cool to literally take a blank slate and throw some stuff in there, and it just, you had a video. I had no idea about shooting or really how to use a camera of any sort at the time. I mean, this was 2011 or so when I took that class. It still seems somewhat unattainable to be able to have a nice camera and to be able to do, you know, high-level professional looking videos. So as video seemed to be becoming more accessible to the average consumer, this is when I went out and I purchased my first camera. My first camera was the Canon T3i. I still use it to this day. I mentioned it in my last video. If you didn't catch my last video, you can catch it right up here in the, go check that out, and that'll give you a little bit more insight on some of the tools that I use. But the T3i has been a great tool for me thus far in about my 10 years of doing video. It has never failed me. I've never had any issues. It seems to always come through in the clutch. I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I need to go back just a little bit to the first piece of equipment that kind of I would say, got me into the interest of video editing and video creation, and that was on my very first iMac that I ever had. It had the program iMovie on there. When I found out that that was just on my computer, I just started making videos. I started making videos of just text. I started making videos of just little clips of stuff here and there, because again, this was back when I think I had maybe my first smartphone, like, ever. Video still, to me, was not accessible like it is today. So I remember when I would have any video clips or had anything to make a video out of, I would do it right there in iMovie. And you know, it was just a really cool tool for me to, again, be able to create something out of nothing. That's what translated into that Premiere class that I spoke about, where it kind of just reinvigorated that cool factor of, oh, there was nothing here a moment ago and now I have a video. So if you're looking into getting into video editing and video creation these days, iMovie might be a little too basic for you to start in. Looking back, I probably would have started in Premiere Pro had I been given that option first. iMovie was a great tool that helped me understand the basics of how video creation happened. It showed me the linear platform that kind of all video production softwares use these days. Once I started using Premiere Pro as my main video editing software, it really changed the game in as far as the level of productions that I started to deliver. Now, going back to 2013, 2014, when I first really started using Premiere Pro, more than I did just maybe during school, was very, to say the least. It was I was learning. It's a learning process for everybody, and with the amount of tabs and panels and different places, nooks and crannies of that software, it seems a little maddening and a little challenging. But with practice, just like with anything, you will get better. You will learn these little tips, these little tricks in your editing style, in your coloring style. You will learn the things that make your videos yours. And that's what I've begun to do in my career, is I've kind of figured out the style that I enjoy creating. My favorite kind of style of video to shoot is kind of that documentary, docu-series style format. I do love my promo videos and occasional music videos and things like that, but the art of storytelling has kind of been what has captivated me in the last few years. As a matter of fact, I think that's what my next video is going to be about. Next video will probably be about that one time I worked on a documentary with my best friend for almost a year, and we got to shoot some really amazing and cool things. So stay tuned for that video next week. You will not be disappointed. So to recap, the 3 things that I needed to get to where I am today was the structure of a school or an online course. I needed a basic level entry camera, and I needed an editing software that made it easy for me to understand. Those 3 things are what can get you started. And today, in almost, like I said, 2022, that barrier for entry is almost 0. We walk around with phones in our hands all the time, and you can create awesome stuff with even just the phone that's in your pocket. So to take from my good old friends over at Think Media, who are a inspiration to me here today, you just gotta press record, and you just gotta get out there and do it. No excuses. I made the excuses for the past 5 years, and I'm here doing it right now. So good. We call it strawrange in my house. It's strawberry orange banana or something like that, but it's so good. My wife makes it. So thank you for joining me for this video today. Like I said, next week we're going to talk a little bit about that one time that I worked on a documentary film here in my hometown of Houston with my best friend. So you guys make sure you stay tuned for that, and I'll see y'all on the other side.